Li Fang, one of the finest investigative journalists working in America. The Intercept has a habit of collecting really good people. You and Zed Jelani. TheIntercept.com is the website. Lee, welcome back to the program.
Hey, so nice to see you, Tom. And yeah, I'm so glad that we're hiring great people like Zed.
Yeah, it really is. You wrote a piece about Howard Dean, if I have this right. Zed did a piece on how Hillary has taken over $2 million just in the last 2 years from personally taken, not campaigns or foundations or anything, from the health insurance industry, the banksters. You're talking about Howard Dean and selling his soul. First of all, let me play a clip of Howard Dean, if you've got that, Jim, on MSNBC yesterday, where he was basically saying, well, yeah, the single payer thing, it sounds like a good idea, but, it might create chaos. You don't know. You got that, Jim? Here we go.
The question is, would his plan result in the kind of chaos of trying to implement it that, in fact, would undo people's health care? That people should be concerned about.
Yeah, we should be really concerned about that. This was on Chris Hayes' show last night, and the chyron underneath it said former DNC chair. It did not say health insurance lobbyist. What's the deal?
Well, look, Tom, Howard Dean is like so many other Democratic politicians who really developed a grassroots following, who developed a really strong credibility by being a fiery progressive voice. But then kind of after losing an election or retiring from public office, quietly went to work at a lobbying firm representing the very interests that he used to rail against on the campaign trail. So in 2009, Howard Dean quietly joined McKenna, Aldrich & Long, a big lobbying and law firm in Washington, D.C. That firm merged with another big lobbying firm last year. It's now one of the biggest law firms in the world. He now works at Denton's and their lobbying practice. That's just another big firm, and they represent a whole range of for-profit healthcare interests that would really that oppose single payer and would lose financially if we had that type of system. Wow.
And I understand also that Denton, the company that Howard Dean now works for, also represents Chinese interests. Isn't that is that illegal or immoral, or I mean, what's the deal that foreign governments are lobbying our politicians for laws that help foreign governments?
Yeah, this is amazing. And, we did a small piece on this a few months back when this was announced, but it really deserves more attention. Da Chung, which is one of the biggest law firms and lobbying firms in China, founded by a former Chinese government official, they announced a merger with Denton. So now they're the same firm, essentially, making a massive global firm. And they basically promised that, by merging, they would give Chinese firms, some of them state-owned companies with close ties to the Chinese government, access to the resources of Denton's, which is, lobbying and legal services. And conversely, American firms hoping to do business in China, they would have access to Da Chung's really large stable of Chinese lawyers all over China. So it's an incredible merger that I think reflects the new global economy and the new effort by corporations, not just to have a lot of sway in their home country, but to be able to access government officials all over the world.
Yeah. Now, sometimes, association doesn't equal corruption. I mean, this radio program is syndicated by Westwood One, which is owned by Cumulus, which is owned by the Dickey brothers, who are extremely conservative, and Westwood One principally syndicates right-wing radio. But they have no control over me or this show, and don't tell me what to do. And in fact, don't do anything other than pass along advertising checks. I have not been corrupted by that association. Is it possible that Howard Dean is getting a paycheck from this big lobbying firm or law firm and has not been corrupted by it?
It's certainly possible, but look, this isn't the first time I've written about Howard Dean changing his tune. Howard Dean, before all of this, he was chairman of the Democratic National Committee. His job was to bring dollars and enthusiasm into the DNC coffers to excite Democrats. Well, I actually found a speech that Howard Dean gave to some of his clients and to one of his lobby firm events. And he was saying, Now I advise his healthcare clients. Now he really works with healthcare corporations to give to both parties, to give to Republicans as well, because that's how you get access. I mean, he's really changed the way he behaves in this sense, and he's working directly with these healthcare interests that really color his take on all of these issues. Look, for radio, you want an audience, and as long as you're bringing a big audience, that's important. If you're changing your tune and actually diminishing your audience, that could be problematic. But there's no evidence of that. Howard Dean is actually changing his behavior.
That's very strange. Well, I mean, just looking at this, if I had an MD, I mean, Howard Dean is an MD. He did the whole law school thing. He practiced medicine. He's from all I've heard, and I lived in Vermont for 10 years, and met Howard Dean several times. He's a damn good doctor. I mean, if he was concerned about being able to make a living after he basically left politics, why not go back to medicine? You can make damn good money as a doctor, even in rural Vermont. It's not quite Manhattan prices, but why sell your soul to an international lobbying and law firm that works with the health insurance, the banksters in the health industry?
Well, it's a degree question, right? I mean, doctors can make several $100,000 and live very comfortably. But look at the salaries of these major politicians who sell out and go to K Street. Tom Daschle, even before the Obama administration, was making something like $3 million a year doing the same thing. Look at Dick Gephardt, who said he was a champion of the working class when he ran for president, and then later went to lobby for Goldman Sachs and for interests helping to crack labor unions and pass anti-union legislation. God knows how much he's making, but it's estimated to be in the millions. So Howard Dean, you're right. He could make a comfortable living as a doctor and a very respectable living. But I would guess that he's making a lot more working at Denton's.
So it's the siren song of the lobbying system here in Washington, D.C. that has taken down another good man. Is that the essence of what you're saying?
Look, I don't live in Washington, D.C. anymore, but when I did, this is the story that happened and unfolded every day. We just saw another, I think, a fairly respected Democratic senator join another lobbying firm, Kay Hagan, former senator from North Carolina. She just announced 2 days ago. I mean, this happens every week. The allure of big money, of making millions of dollars, of trading your reputation for a big paycheck. That's the modern story of Washington, D.C. I think a lot of folks talk about it on the Republican side, but it's just as prevalent for Democrats as well.
Yeah, and I think probably their rationale is, well, I need to retire and I need to have something for my kids, and here's an opportunity. But if you're going to harm our democracy in the process, it just doesn't seem like a good idea.
That's right, and at least for MSNBC and other programs that have Howard Dean to talk on their program to talk about healthcare, and he's advising healthcare clients at a healthcare lobbying firm, at least have a little bit of disclosure. Well,
equally bizarre. I mean, I've got CNN and MSNBC in the studio here, and just 15 minutes ago or so, Wolf Blitzer was talking about Bernie Sanders and healthcare. And who was he talking with about it? He was talking with S.E. Cupp, a Republican, and Donna Brazile, basically a Hillary surrogate. There was nobody at the table representing Bernie Sanders' position, or even representing, single-payer health care's position. And the Chiron kept saying, Bernie pressed on details. Bernie can't pay for it. All these Republican talking points. It was bizarre. It was just bizarre what's going on in our media, and now obviously in our politics too. Lee Fong, you can read the piece over at theintercept.com, and and you can tweet Lee at LHFANG.
Pleasure talking to you, Tom. Take care.
Thank you, Lee. It's great having you with us. We'll be back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Lee is just not only one of the finest human beings that I know, but just an absolutely brilliant reporter.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.